Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Selam by Mary Tilahun. I am your host, Mary, also known as TheSudopian, and today's episode is real, raw, and a little funny because we're talking about, all about what year one of marriage has taught me. Spoiler alert, it definitely humbled me, healed me, stretched me, and showed me more about myself than I ever expected. So if you are newly married, engaged, or even just praying for your person, this one is for you. Okay, so first of all, my husband is the first and only man that I have ever lived with, and it's really important that I start here because this is going to just be the segue leading into the rest of the episode. So yeah, my husband was the first man that I've ever lived with. No shacking up before marriage over here, okay? So let's just say that your girl was not prepared for the full experience of sharing a home 24/7. And listen, honestly, it is beautiful and it's sacred, but it's also, child, my husband will use every dish in the house in one day and swear he didn't do anything. So let your imagination do the rest from there. But yeah, so sharing space and rhythms and habits and even silence with someone, it revealed how set in my ways I was. I'd say that marriage instantly put a mirror in front of me, and the Holy Spirit did not let me slide. There were so many times that I'd be ready to point the finger at him, right? My husband. And God would be like, cool, but let's talk about you now, daughter. And so there was just lots of convictions. There were arguments where I was genuinely so angry with my husband, and I mean angry. And in my reflection, I realized it wasn't even about him. My anger was so displaced because it wasn't even about him. It was about me. More specifically, the unhealed parts of me, the inner child that felt unseen or unheard, neglected, whatever. I would get triggered. And instead of pausing to unpack it, I would respond in a way that wasn't fair to my husband. And I started noticing how quickly I would assign responsibility to him for emotions or burdens that were not his to carry to begin with. And that's not partnership. That is the other P word, projection. So God started pulling back layers that I didn't even know were there. The arguments weren't just exposing our communication gaps. They were exposing my soul wounds. And God had to convict me gently but firmly, So I would hear God very clearly saying, like, Mary, you are not perfect. So number one, you need to fight against the spirit of perfection, because this isn't about fixing him. It's about transforming you. And those mirror moments, they were hard. And I had to be still. I had to journal. I had to cry, scream, admit, like whatever it took. But just realizing like, wow, okay, I am still healing. And I had to remember that this man is not responsible for cleaning up the emotional mess that someone else left behind. That's my work to do, which honestly opened my eyes into understanding the power of my words. So let's talk about that one for a minute, because that one really hit me deep. The words that I speak to my husband carry weight. I can either be his space, his motivation, his peace, his comfort, or I could be the voice that tears him down when the world already does enough of that. So write this one down, sis. Definitely write this one down. Power in your words. That means so much, honestly, understanding as a woman, understanding as a wife that there's so much power in your words and the way that you speak life into and over your husband. And I do have to say that God reminded me as a wife, I have the power to speak life into my husband or to plant seeds of doubt and defeat with my words. So you got to take your pick in that. And it's just so important that you know that. Absolutely important that you know that as a wife and the words that are in your marriage. Also your actions. And, actually I could give you an example of this, a very real example. My husband's lunch bag, y'all. Very early in our marriage, I took pride in packing his lunches, homemade meals, cute notes, real wife energy, okay? But then came the days that I was upset. So petty Mary would just get into a mood where I didn't want to touch his lunch bag. I was like, he could eat air for all I care at this point. But the spirit said, this is not about the lunch bag. It's about the heart. So lots of heart checks in marriage. So I packed the lunch bag anyways with love, not because I felt like it truly, but because marriage is about choosing love, even when your flesh is loud. And that simple act reminded me that love is not convenience, it's commitment. It's the small, quiet choices you make when nobody's watching. It's showing up with grace even when your ego wants to retreat. Marriage is a work, and that's okay. Marriage is not, let's be real, let's be very honest, marriage is not all aesthetic reels and couple goals. It's daily dying to your own ego. It's waking up and choosing honor when annoyance is easier. It's fighting to keep your heart soft. It's showing up even when you don't feel seen. It's praying even when you're not in the mood. It's forgiving when you feel justified in being mad. Being willing to say I was wrong and to actually mean it. Marriage is work, and that is not a bad thing. Anything sacred will require your time, your patience, and your sacrifice. And yeah, every disagreement that we've had has taught me something about humility, forgiveness, leadership, and about the weight that my words carry and the impact that my love has on my husband's spirit. Because marriage isn't just romance, it's ministry. It's not about winning arguments, it's about building something holy together. And I realized that being a wife isn't just about support, it's about stewardship, and I am stewarding his heart, my husband's dreams, his peace, and he's doing the same for me in return. So, just so much to learn, so much that I learned in just year one. Let me break that down into some points, actually. So, in year one of marriage, I learned you don't always have to be right, because being kind is more powerful. Secondly, your tone matters as much as your truth. Next thing I would say is your husband is not your emotional punching bag. He is your partner. Differentiate that. Next, I'd say that God uses marriage to grow you, not just to give you butterflies, as cute as that is. And let's see, what else do I have? Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's actually how intimacy is built. And I've learned that sometimes the best apology is just changed behavior. And my husband is so good at gently reminding me that. That grace isn't just something you give when you're over it. It's actually something that you practice when you're still working through it. I've learned to pray before I respond, to check my own heart, to sit with the discomfort and ask, like, God, what are you trying to teach me through this? Even when I feel like I don't understand the man that you sent me right now. And maybe I would say most importantly, I've learned that love is not just a feeling. It is a daily decision, a commitment to show up, even when it's hard, even on days where you feel like you don't have anything to give. It's a promise to keep building, even when things feel, not all the way there. Which leads me into some words of encouragement for the wife or the wife-to-be, if you are listening and you are in your first year of marriage or preparing for that season. Just know that there will be days when you feel misunderstood. There will be nights that you go to bed angry, and there will be moments when you question if you're doing it right, or even, what are we doing? But sis, in all of it, God is working. He is refining you. He is stretching you. He is strengthening your union. So please don't compare your love story to what you see online. Please don't. Don't go onto Instagram for marriage goal videos. Like, just being honest, y'all seen how most of those couples that we consider to be couple goals in the past, and how they're all caught up in their entanglements, and just how light was shed on what was actually going on behind closed doors in their relationships. Half or more than half of those couples aren't even together today. Or they have some weird dynamics that isn't for the people who are genuinely desiring or seeking kingdom marriage the way that God intended for us. So guard your ears, y'all. Guard your eyes and guard your hearts, because social media does not show you the prayers, the apologies, the tough conversations, but those are the things that make a marriage solid, right? But social media won't show you that entirely. So give your marriage to God, cover it in prayer, and speak life over it. Serve with joy and just never stop growing together. On that note, let's wrap this up. So no, marriage is not perfect, but it is beautifully sanctifying. And year one, it taught me that love is not a feeling. It is a decision, a daily, sometimes hourly choice to show up with intention, humility, and heart. To my husband, because I know you are listening, thank you for loving me through the learning, for being my mirror, for being my support and my safe space. I love you so much. And to everyone else listening, keep choosing love, keep choosing growth, and keep showing up. If this episode blessed you, please do leave a comment on Spotify. Let's get the conversation going. Tag me on Threads at TheSudopian. Share it with a friend. And remember, sis, there is power in your voice. Selam.